Well, how y'all doing? It's TwoSun Tuesday again. Apologies again that I missed a week, but by this point you will have seen another one come out that actually did record last week. But due to some power and internet issues with a couple of feet of snow, hey, that's what happens. All right, so this guy is the TS114. It actually has a name. I think it's pronounced Aranea, Aranea. This is a Caleb Fechner design, and hey, this is in D2. So there you go. We got G10 scales here, which have several different milling sort of things going on there. We have a bespoke titanium milled pocket clip that's inset and secured with 2 screws, which is fantastic. Pretty darn secure liners there. The backspacer here actually comes out to an external, what's the word for it? Lanyard hole, loop, whatever you want to call that there. It's got the flipper tab there, which is super cool. And we got nested liners in these G10 things here. So pretty darn neat. We got quite a bit of sweep up, so it has a little bit of a Persian kind of influence maybe. But we also have this, strange little harpoon thing here towards the end, which I guess if you really wanted to get your finger way out there, if you're trying to do some skinning or whatnot and protect the tip from stabbing into anything, I guess you could do that, but you really do need, hands with some larger fingers to be able to do that. So I don't think it was really designed with that in mind. But hey, we got perfect, comfortable jimping right back here on the spine. And I guess, you also got that jimping there if you really want to use that in the, what do they call that, the hammer grip or whatever, holding it the other way. So, I like this guy quite a bit. How about if we go ahead and take a little look on the inside of it, see what's going on the inside here. As with most TwoSuns, not absolutely all of them, but most of them, the clip is usually integrated into one of the attachment posts, and this one is no different. They do use basically all T8 hardware, but hey, you just basically have those 2 for the clip there, and then 1 for their standard pivot here. So pretty darn simple to get in there. So yeah, as you can see, we got this guy perfectly nested in that G10 there. Alright, next up we have the actual liner here. And with a lot of these you end up gotta work it out a little bit of here, but yeah, there we go. Yeah, there's that, and then we got the blade. So here we go. You can see it's not really skeletonized on either side, which that probably could kind of lighten this thing up a little bit. That being said, though, this thing isn't super, super heavy. I will get the measurements here in a minute, but I'll want to kind of put him back in place first. So, you do have a titanium backspacer here for the that has that lanyard loop and everything. Internally, it just has 2 pins here that go kind of right here, and this one, which actually is anchored a little bit by the G10 and the steel. It's not fully surrounded by the steel. Doesn't really feel structurally unsound or anything like that, as you're not going, unless something is stabbing up through the bottom of the knife, you're not going to put topward pressure on there at all. So, it might not look like the absolute most secure thing in the universe, but works out quite well. Next up, we got ceramic bearings in their nylon cages, as is normal and fantastic. And mine's looking a little slightly grimy on the inside. And yeah, we got the little detent groove there for kind of putting them back, or closing him up afterwards. We got the blade stop pin right there. So it's not on the blade itself, which does help a little bit without having a cutout in the liners to kind of mess around with any of the ingress that might happen when you have that sort of stuff go on there. So I actually appreciate that a little bit. And you can see the divot for this guy. If you know, I didn't actually bump the table or the camera. You can see the detent is very smallly visibly shown when it's open. I generally like to have that fully closed off on my knives, just to, you know, make sure nothing gets stuck in there like cardboard bits or whatever else you might be cutting up with it. But this is a very happy medium where it's mostly covered, you know, unless you have something super fine that's in the air around where you're cutting. You're not really going to have a problem with it. No D-shaped pivot on this guy. I figured I should mention that. I haven't had any troubles with this guy. You know, screws together super nice. I will slap the pocket clip on there. Something that I kind of would have loved to have seen would be to have a reversible clip. It seems like it would be quite easy to do. As long as yeah, well, whatever. It seems like it would be easy to do if you just added that notch there and that extra little hole in the liner. It's super possible to be able to do, but that just wasn't his design for it. Alright, so I guess what might help with some folks is kind of doing some comparison to some other knives that I have out here that are fairly popular. These are going to be probably a little kind of strange and out there, and some of them are kind of normal and useful, but hey, there we go. Here's the classic 74. Obviously, this is in the Desert Warrior pattern, but yeah. This one's probably not super well known to people in certain states, like about half of them where switchblades still aren't legal. So there you go. There's about the only one of those that I'll really have in my lineup. Here we are with the 940. So you can see, yep, basically the same forward length as the 940, but with the curve, you have a little bit more blade real estate. However, you can see the handle a lot longer than the 940. Which, hey, they're both super comfortable, so I don't really have a problem with either one there. All right, and then I have some other big guys here. This is the Manix 2XL. Most things really aren't going to be larger than that, but some things can get a little bit longer in the blade length. But hey, there you go. Interestingly enough, the handle with the titanium loop is actually a little touch longer than that. Which the Manix 2 XL works fantastically in my hands, but you can see if my hands were even just a little slightly bit larger, that would be a little uncomfortable. And this one doesn't have that problem. So there you go with that. Next up, all right, we got the Rat number 1. Yeah, you can see the Rat number 1's blades just a little bit longer. And as with most things, this handle is a little bit longer than that. A little bit smaller, but still cheap. We got the K-Bar Dozier, Folding Hunter. Yep, obviously it's going to be larger than that. And then my old trusty Spyderco Endura 4. And yeah, obviously the blade on that's going to be a little bit longer. And the handle's pretty close, actually. You know, obviously this one is a little bit longer there, but hey, what are you going to do, huh? So yeah, a little bit of that length. You can see this thing does come back in a little bit, and it's using that extra area as a tip protector as well as using the lanyard loop. So if he wanted to slice a lot of that off, it would have a lot of the same proportions as the other ones. But yeah, detent strength on this thing is just about right. You know, it's fairly difficult to fail unless you do the purposeful. I'm gonna use the fat pad of my finger and just kind of put a little bit of, yeah. I can get almost anything to fail doing that, but that's not how you really want to deploy a knife. So there you go. So the pocket clip on this guy, you know, it's going to stick up a fair amount, but you know, about the same as a lot of others that don't have a deep carry pocket clip on them. You know, something like the Manix 2XL, slightly less, but much wider. So, there you go. It's a pretty interesting design overall. If I haven't mentioned it before, Caleb Fechner is a fairly young knife designer, but he's done a few designs here with TwoSun. The one I'm taking a look at next week also is one of his designs, and it's another kind of neat one. A little bit more traditional rather than this, I would call it like a Persian harpoon kind of thing going on here. But yeah, really, really do like this knife. The D2 on this does a pretty darn good job. You know, I've got a pretty close to mirror polish on almost all of my blades, and this one included. I probably could have done a little bit more with the lapping films on this one, but there you go. Let's see. I want to make sure that I actually do have the pivot dialed in so that I don't have any blade play without, you know, super strangling it. There you go. Yeah, so it's not a drop shutty action necessarily. And yeah, I have cleaned this thing out quite a bit. But yeah, usually the way I end up closing almost all like frame locks and liner locks is I'll actually do a blade up. Because that way I can push it over, I can feel where that detent is. And that will let me get it to the point where I can turn it over safely and drop that. That saves me from kind of a new knife that might have a guillotine approach to drop shuttiness, which happens sometimes, and that just kind of protects me from that. So there you go. All right, so I did say I was going to get some measurements out here for this guy, so I should probably do that. So the blade stock on him is basically like 3.75. That's basically where I would end up calling it. If I mash it forward, yeah, so basically right around 3.75 to 3.8. So not too bad. Not obviously the absolute thinnest thing in the world, but very, very manageable. As far as the handle, we got like 0.56 of an inch there. Let me go ahead and turn that off. There we go. I can get some weights here for you as well. Make sure you can actually read that display going on here. There we go. I always like to start on ounces. We got 4.62 or 4.615. Yeah, whatever. So 130.8, so about 131 grams. So yeah, it's fairly average, at least for a kind of a larger knife. And let me go ahead and poke the camera again real quick. And then we can go ahead and take a look at this. So yeah, the blade on it isn't incredibly long, but it does kind of, with the handle, does kind of choke back a little bit. As you can see, if I have that shoved all the way up towards the ruler, the beginning of the blade isn't quite there. So, you know, doing that, it is basically around 3.5 inches of cutting blade. And it's got, you know, a little bit of a sneak forward thing. I would mostly call that a sharpening choil, though. Certainly not a finger choil, but that's mostly because with having super large fingers, I don't trust most choils. So there you go. Alrighty, so yeah, this is TS114 Aranea, which is a Caleb Fechner design. You can see that one last thing I should probably mention is that, yeah, it is basically like 3.75 to 3.8, but it does distal taper out a bit towards the tip. You still have some tip strength going on there. It's not, you know, super needlepoint and whatnot, but yeah, it does thin out, does cut quite well. I do like myself some belly on a knife, and that certainly has it. It's probably because I'm so used to the leaf-shaped blades on like the Mannix. That's pretty close to all belly. So there you go. But yeah, that's basically everything I got to say about this guy. So, as always, I appreciate y'all for watching, and I will keep these coming out week after week because I certainly have quite a few more. So, with all that being said, I appreciate y'all for watching, and have yourself a wonderful rest of your day, yo.